However, leaving space open to critique myself and address my own possible shortcomings in addressing this issue and this incident, I could have done better to at least be clear and more direct and open about the possibility that this was not a hoax, that this was something that did actually happen, and this woman did face indecent exposure. In my initial video on the incident, I did say that, and I did say that if this was not a hoax, that if this was a person going into the bathroom to indecently expose themselves, then that person should face punishment and should be arrested.
Folks, so if you've been a fan of this channel, you know that we cover some very hard topics, and today is no exception. One of the topics we need to talk about is the ongoing saga that is the WeSpa issue. And before I get into this thing, I want to explain what framing I'm coming from. This is a really good point Zena made actually yesterday, is what framing I'm coming from. So there's two parts of this. I have watched Jessie Gender's video about the WeSpa incident and the person that has been charged. And I like Jessie Gender's content. I don't generally watch it all the time, but I do like it. And I do think she's a super cool nerd. I don't like that video. So this is not like a call out against Jessie Gender, but I will be referencing that video because one of the things that really stuck with me hard is the way in which the framing seemed like it was giving a lot of caveats and a lot of, for lack of a better term, a lot of ground as far as transphobes. If you haven't seen her video yet, and I suggest after you watch this one you go do so, my experience of it was explaining the fact that Samantha Lux, Jessie Gender, and weirdly enough not us yet, probably too small, have gotten pushback because they've now have a person who's being charged for this, and we'll get into that story. But the simple fact of the matter is that the way this is being framed is almost like it's a give for conservatives. And I want to tear apart this narrative because using the same article that I think she is using, I want to go over this. I want to understand this because we need to know how to talk about this when we push back on conservatives, because there's a lot of unknowns here, and there's a lot of issues here with how the systems in play are being discussed. So, with that said, let's get into it. Trans woman charged with indecent exposure in LA spa incident. So I'm going to hand me and Zena some headphones. You guys are going to tell me if we do a sound check, if you can hear the magic robot voice, because magic robot voice saves my vocal cords, because my job is literally talking at people. Way more than you think it would be. Come back, brush. There we go. There you go, kisses.
Thank you.
All right. So we're going to go down here, and you guys are going to tell me if you can hear this. We're just going to do this first little tiny baby paragraph, and go.
The Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office has filed charges of indecent exposure against a transgender woman who appeared nude in the women's area of a spa in the city of LA.
Was there sound? Can you hear the robot voice? The robot voice is audible. Excellent. We're going to go through this whole thing, and then we're going to go tear it apart, because I want to make sure we have all of the information. So I want to make sure you guys are aware. We're not just letting the article speak for itself, but we want to go all the way through it.
A cisgender woman had complained about the trans woman's presence at WI Spa in late June, airing her objections in an Instagram video that went viral. The complainer, going by the screen name Cubana Angel, said women and girls were upset by seeing the trans woman's genitals. It's okay for a man to go into the women's section, show his penis around the other women, young little girls underage in your spa. Cubana Angel said to staffers in the video. He's a man. He is a man. Some sources were skeptical, however, that a trans woman was at the spa that day, and the Los Angeles Blade, a publication serving the LGBTQ and community, ran a commentary piece theorizing that Cubana Angel was perpetrating a hoax, something she has denied. The incident has led to protests outside the spa, sometimes marked by violence between anti-trans and trans-supportive demonstrators.
Yeah, and
now Darren
police
Ajay
violence.
Muriger, 52, has been charged with 5 felony counts of indecent exposure, the Los Angeles Times reports. Muriger lives in Riverside County, east of LA County, and is a registered sex offender. The charges were filed Monday and an arrest warrant issued, but she has not yet been taken into custody. The Times has yet to reach Muriger for an interview, but she did speak to the New York Post, which has sometimes shown anti-trans bias, and said she did nothing wrong. Everything about the WI spa was a bunch of garbage and lies, she said. She was in a hot tub when she encountered Cubana Angel, she said. She never saw me naked, Muriger said. I was underwater with water all the way up to my chest. She said she is a victim of transphobic harassment but nonetheless intends to turn herself in. She is a registered sex offender due to convictions for indecent exposure in 2002 and 2002, Los Angeles police told The Times. She is facing further indecent exposure charges from a 2019 incident. The Post quotes an internal LA police document saying Muriger pretends to be trans in order to gain access to women's spaces. The possibility of people pretending to be trans for this purpose has often been raised by those opposed to transgender rights, but almost no such incidents have been verified.
Okay, so let's get into this shit show. So, on this channel, we have spoken about the fact that I have stated that Cubana Angel's argument was a hoax. And I'm going to be very clear about this. I still have no evidence based on this article that tells me that's still not a possibility. What we are doing is a she said, she said, let's be clear, in which Cubana Angel makes the argument that she saw this. However, no one else that was there that day, to my understanding based on this and a couple other articles, has said there's a problem. Where I additionally go with this is there's some very real red flags here, as Ash in chat said. First, the fact that we are talking about a trans woman who's clearly mid-transition, based on some of the images that they've portrayed at other things, has been charged with 5 felony counts of indecent exposure. That's not great. However, the part that really stands out to me is this one. Jesse Gender's video focused a lot on this too, and I want to talk about this for a minute because I think it's a fucking issue. So as best as I can find, and I am not practicing law, nor am I a lawyer in the state of California, someone bug legal, or RGR if you must. And the simple fact of the matter is that to be a registered sex offender for the purposes of indecent exposure is a misdemeanor in most cases. However, despite being a misdemeanor and possibly earning you some jail time, it is also very likely to get you 10 years on the sex offender registry. However, if you've ever read the laws on indecent exposure, these are incredibly draconic and incredibly nonsensical laws. This can be whipping your penis out in front of a group of people. This can be taking a pee on the side of the road. This can be all sorts of things. It's a very vague claim. And while it doesn't look great that this person has these charges, what we have is a person forced on the sex offender registry for 2 counts of indecent exposure, but no evidence as to what the context of those previous convictions due to indecent exposure are. Also, and I want to bring this up, for those playing the home game, this is California's Megas Law website. If you want to know about a sex offender, you can put their name in here. So let's take this dear person and put them in here and spin the wheel. Yep, I've read. I'm not a robot. I assure you, I am not a robot. Let me in the goddamn website. Verify. Just fuck off. Please check the new images. Oh, you're the devil. They do this every time. I'm sorry. Just... Oh my god. I hate CAPTCHA. No offenders match your search. I know this seems long-winded, but I really do need you guys to be with me on this. What if we try this one? Let's try it without... Nope, that's not the one I needed. Let's go back to this one. Let's try it with just this first name. No offenders match your search. Well, what if we go over here and let's just do the last name. Let's just do the last name, right? If maybe the names are spelled weird, maybe the thing fucked up, but let's see. So unless there is another state of California website that is claiming that that's on the sex offender registry, my understanding is this is this one for the state of California, which it says State of California, Department of Justice, Office of Attorney General, California Megan's Law website. I have now searched several different iterations of this woman's name. So guess what? As far as I can find, there's no evidence of them on the registry, which means this is an unsubstantiated claim. One that Jesse Gender and the other people who've talked about this never even asked about. Going further with this is also a red flag. The Times has yet to reach Rager for an interview. Okay, that could happen, I guess theoretically. But she did speak to the New York Post. Huh? How does the Times, one of the largest newspapers in the world, not catch you, but the New York Post, a well-known conservative anti-trans propaganda piece, have this exclusive interview? Everything about the Wii Spa was a bunch of garbage and lies. She was in a hot tub when I encountered Cubana Angel. She said she never saw me naked. Miranda said I was underwater with water all the way up to my chest. So, oh, Dylan Colin. Can someone look that up for me? The New York Post article for the byline was by Andy Nago. I always mispronounce that name, but we all know who he is. He's the guy that's the provocateur. Holy shit, Dylan. Well fucking done. Can someone throw that for links of stream up? Someone find me that New York Post article? Unless this is it, in which case I'm just being an idiot. Hold on. Let's see if we can find it. Nope, it's right here. Never mind. There he is. There he is. The guy who's literally started fights with a BLM, allegedly. June, a group of women. No, you need to go away. I don't want videos. You suck. Transphobic hoax. Discreetly filed against a serial sex offender. I don't know if 2 is a serial, but go off. Came forward and alleged that Darren, again, spelled the same way, was partially erect. So this is the part that's interesting. Nowhere in... Can someone do a synopsis in Discord chat really quickly about Andy? I forget a lot about him because I don't care, but this is kind of relevant. Notice that there's this claim here, and this is, by the way, on every fucking, like, right-leaning website I can find. This argument that she was partially erect. Also, that multiple felonies. So, again... First off, in the state of California, usually Usually, this is a misdemeanor. Again, I am not a lawyer, so I cannot say for sure, but everything I could find last night. Let's see, Marionette says, Robert Evans has a lot to say about Andy Ngo. He's a fascist provocateur who posts heavily edited videos to make it look like Antifa goes around assaulting people. Yep, that sounds about right from what I remember. So the reality of the situation is that this person wrote an article in, I would assume, response to the claim by Slate that this was a hoax. A name was brought forward, but all we have are a couple really bad pictures, and we still have many of the people who were there that day still saying they don't remember a trans woman being there. And this person just happens to be a registered sex offender. Does anyone else get the feeling that some of this might be bullshit? Has anyone actually reached out, has anyone actually verified this with, the cops? Has anyone actually verified this with, the Department of Justice in California? Has anyone, is there anything here? Because as you just saw not moments ago, nothing. No matches. This person is not on file. And one of those things was from 2019. So it's not like they'll just suddenly be off it. Oh, yes. Dylan says, the LAPD police report also exclusively uses he, him pronouns for this person, which says a ton about perspective and motivation. So here's the thing I'm going to push back on. We know nothing. And in fact, the evidence for this has not really changed. We are still talking about police violence against trans people when right-leaning provocateurs started a protest due to essentially a moral witch hunt over an alleged situation that has still not been proven. Adrian says, if Marager really spoke to the New York Post, it was probably due to a result of extreme harassment and blackmail. True, allegedly. So the problem is that there's so many red flags here, and it doesn't change anything that was said in previous videos. I still don't know if this person even exists.
And notice how the narrative changed about what actually happened. Okay, the framing from this article is not the same as the other one either. This is actually making way more claims about what actually happened.
Yeah, around
and getting way more graphic.
Yeah, say 4 girls and a minor girl came forward that alleged that it was partially erect. So I have questions.
Yeah, this is when you're getting vastly different. Most news articles will, they're playing telephone to some degree. But when you start getting, radically different stuff, different places, that's especially, something to start questioning, being going, okay, why? Okay, can I trust this?
So this is the person's picture, but again, this is real problematic because we don't have more info. Here's from the anti-transgender protesters. Again, this guy just looks like just a skinhead. I don't know if he actually is, allegedly, but remember that the several people got fired on by the police with non-lethal rounds. Remember that? The simple fact of the matter is that both Cubana Angel and her attorney Mark Little declined to comment for the story. Weird. If she's really fighting God's battle and really wanting to make sure those transgenders are taken care of. Weird. Los Angeles Bulletin. Let's see. Darren was arrested on 12/30/2018 for a indecent exposure incident in which he exposed himself to women and children in the women's locker room. Wait. Did anyone else just hear that? I'll read it again for those who weren't paying attention. I'll say it this way just for shits and giggles. Miss Marager was arrested on 12/30/2018 for an indecent exposure incident in which she, exposed herself to other women and, I would assume, female children in the women's locker room of the West Hollywood Park. Morager claimed to identify as a female. That's a weird thing, especially for someone that wasn't charged yet. Claimed to identify as a female so she can access women's locker room and showers. So, if this is a non-passing trans woman, and the charge that's still keeping her on the registry is from 2018, because the other one would have even been done with if the 2002 one would have been done in 2012, does anyone feel like this is, like, just scapegoating?
Like, if people are no longer on the registry, do we still call them sex offenders?
Hey, mods, there's a person in YouTube chat that really just needs to fuck clean off because they're basically just saying nonsense. Thank you. Hey, we're attracting trans hoes about this. That means we're doing something right. Go ahead, Kisses.
Oh, yeah, just this weirdness with the language. If somebody's no longer on the sex offender registry, like it's been, gone several years already, and then still continuing to call them a sex offender, isn't that kind of weird? Like, they're no longer on that registry for a reason. Like, that timed out.
And again, like, not only did it time out, but there's an additional problem. By going over this way, if we're right, and again, you can look this up, you can look up the ordinances in California, the thing is 10 years. So if the 2002 charge was true and was actually held charge, that would have been done in 2012. If that means that that's the case, because again, indecent exposure is only a tier 1 crime, so it's 10 years to my understanding. In 2018, she gets another indecent exposure charge for being in a woman's locker room because she's a trans woman. This is literally turf bait.
Well, and not that I think, Minerva, you said they shouldn't
be called a sex offender, but I suspect the average would consider it a permanent mark. Yes, because the average person is a fucking idiot.
No, but not just that. Notice that this is a specific framing, okay? There is a specific thing that both of these articles I'm noticing and these quotes are doing, is that they're making the sex offender thing a very prominent and present-looking thing, okay? And that's really kind of acting as, a scare tactic. It is driving home that point of this person is unsafe to be around. I believe that to be a very intentional way of stating that.
Dylan Cole in YouTube chat, nothing from reverse image search older than 3 days. So we don't even know if this poster is valid, but if it is, this is no different than the We Spa incident. We're essentially making the same assertion. A trans woman goes into a woman's space, is not hurting anyone, is not doing anything. It's not like she assaulted anyone. It's not like she was doing anything wrong. But because she was in there and because she was changing, though I assume all of the women in there that were changing as well were also indecently exposing themselves, but that's acceptable because they're cis. Trans woman goes in there, all of a sudden it's a problem, and now there's an indecent charge. This feels like transphobia. This feels like systemic transphobia on the part of the cops, allegedly. This feels like systemic transphobia on the part of the Post. This is red flags everywhere. And this is where I'm going to come back to the push against Jessie Gender. I like Jessie Gender, but her video on this was real sloppy. I'm sorry. I felt like it gave up way too much ground because let me tell you, when I went through this last night, Zena can tell you, I was sitting in bed. I figured this shit out in 10 minutes.
No, yeah, I was like, let's actually go look up the claims, right? Like, we can actually just go check that.
Yeah, like, let's go over here. Indecent exposure at or in California. That's fine. Law. Whatever. I don't care about spelling. Law. So what we're talking about is Penal Code 314 PC. If this is accurate, which we will assume it will, as of July 18th, 2021, under California Penal Code 314 PC, indecent exposure is defined as willingly exposing one's naked body or genitals to another person who would be offended or annoyed by it. So you mean transphobes? The crime is generally prosecuted as a misdemeanor and punished by up to 6 months in county jail, as well as 10-year sex offender registration requirement. Is guilty of a misdemeanor. This is insane. The fact that this doesn't have more specification, the fact that this doesn't have more protections, is the definition of insanity. This means that any time some trans woman in the state of California, and possibly more states, walks into a woman's locker room or is sitting in a spa in a woman's part of the spa, she could be nailed with a charge and not only receive up to 6 months in county jail, where she will most likely be misgendered and put in with men, but on top of it, will also be on a 10-year registry. This is why I am so angry about that video. Because I like Jessie Gender's work. I legitimately really enjoyed this. And here's the thing. I was really disappointed. I'm not saying this like kills it for me as far as Jessie Gender, but that video was very panic feeling. It felt like there was a lot of room given up, a lot of ground given up to say like, oh, if this is a thing, we absolutely must condemn this person. Not necessarily. I need data. Because there's a big difference between being on the sex registry because you hurt children by inappropriate behavior, touching, etc., or by being a trans woman in a woman's space being targeted by draconic laws that the penal code allows for that are not updated to trans identities. This was sloppy. And this is why this is such a fucking problem for me. This is a backwards way of a bathroom bill. Think about it. If you go to a large bathroom, and let's say it's a part of a locker room, and a trans woman is there, and you just happen to walk by, and you can see in her towel. Well, trans women shouldn't be in women's spaces because, guess what'll happen? You might get a 6 months in male prison, and you might get 10 years on the sex offender registry. And again, I want to come back to the simple fact that we looked this up. This person's name is not even currently in the sex offender registry. So I don't even know if the post's claims that these were previous convictions are even true when all they could be is charges that were dropped. We don't have anything. Because there is such a massive difference between this article and this article. And the fact that Cubana Angel and her lawyer, despite having the will of God on their side, can't speak up about this? No, that's just cowardice. Also, the fact that, again, the New York Post is, again, the article is written by a person who has actively gone against Antifa on behalf of people like the Proud Boys, the Boogaloo Boys, etc. Oh, let's be clear. There was Proud Boys and various other people here when they were protesting this. The religious right was not just by themselves. They were absolutely treated awful and supported, by this. Again, by those people. Sorry, my brain fluffed. Here's the simple fact. Yeah, we don't even know who the lawyer is. They just say her lawyer. Law enforcement sources revealed that Marriage is a Tier 1 registered for 2 prior convictions of indecent exposure stemming from 2002, 2003 in California. These would be both gone. She declined to comment on the convictions. In 2008, she was convicted for failing. She declined to comment because maybe they weren't convictions. Yeah, no, Spectacular, that's super true. Why not just talk about it that day instead of like 2 months later? A law passed by California Democrats that went into effect this year replaces the state's lifetime registration requirement to a tiered system. The law allows lower-tiered sex offenders to petition to be removed from the list. However, Manager is not eligible due to ongoing criminal charges. She, well done, has also a long criminal history in California that includes nearly a dozen felony convictions for crimes ranging from sex offenses to burglary and escape.
What?
Where is this coming from? Source? Link? Source? Source and link? Does anyone feel like they found a person that vaguely fits into
The narrative
of women being assailed by trans women in certain spaces? Does anyone get that feeling? Major claims to identify as a female, so reads an internal flyer of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. Okay, that's evidence. Source? Has pled not guilty to all 6 counts, and her next court date of incident is on September 8th. Major told law enforcement she's transient, but bail was set at $150,000 in early 2019, which was paid. Shows a pattern of abuse from the state and society that punishes transgender people. Hey, we have some more data. You allow trans women to go in there, women's spaces, and then people simply claim indecent exposure and you're arrested. Fucking true. Also, I know what I keep wondering about is what her actual chosen name is. We keep using her legal name, and I apologize for any dead naming here. I just don't have another name to go off of. So, here's the thing. What we have here is a person who the Post claims was engaged in several different crimes, but gives no evidence for that whatsoever, no sources, no nothing. A person who's supposedly on the sex offender registry, but does not show up on the registry in any way, shape, or form based on searches of multiple variations of their name. And a woman who claims that she has been repeatedly attacked by a transphobic system that allows her in women's spaces, but then punishes her for doing so. If all of what Miss Marager says is true, and she's real, this is nothing simply more than a witch hunt. They found a person who vaguely fit the thing, and now they're just going after it. And I still don't even know if this person is real, because I don't trust the Post as far as I can throw it. And if she is real, this is a really good example of systemic abuses started by moralizing, pearl-clutching, hand-wringing bullshit. Kaz, you said that was in Pink Times? You mean Pink News, or wait? All right, let's make sure we name this lady properly. We Spa. Let's go. Let's see what they have to say. Trans woman charged with indecent exposure at spa says she's the victim of harassment. It's much different, a very interesting framing, very different. Trans woman's been charged with indecent exposure over an incident that We Spa Los Angeles has said she's the victim of transphobic harassment. Agi. Oh, so this is her name. Agi. Okay. Agi, I apologize for any previous dead naming. Who is legally female, is reported to facing multiple felony charges of indecent exposure after 4 cis women and a girl accused her of exposing her genitals at We Spa in June, according to the New York Post. Okay. So why don't we try this one other time then? Why don't we do Agi? Apparently you have to go back through it. So we're going to go. Yep. You did all this. I hate you. No offenders match your search. So Dear Agi appears to not actually be on the sex offender registry if this is correct. Or maybe it was just a clerical error. So yada yada, unknown woman. Let's see here. In the weeks that follow, WeSpa became a center of America's moral panic about trans lives, firing rubber bullets at One highly publicized incident saw police firing rubber bullets at right-wing demonstrators and counter-protesters, though a lot of things have said it's that. Yes, Anthers, they're absolutely transphobic. Yeah, it's absolutely... And again, this is even incorrect because I have not heard anything about right-leaning people being hit by those bullets. It was only trans folks. However, a police investigation led authorities to Marager. That seems weird. She now stands accused of showing signs of sexual arousal in the women's changing facility, an accusation she denies. What? Again, how do you prove that? What if she's just well hung? What the fuck? Internal bulletin describes her as a registered sex offender. She's previously arrested, and again, she's pleaded. Notice there's no other mentions of any other crime. Excuse me, I will retract that. She has also been convicted of a number of crimes throughout her life, including sex offenses and burglary. Source? Again, this is even weird. So again, I feel like this is just cribbed from the New York Post article. Does anyone else get that read? No, she should absolutely lawsuit. Full stop. Anyway, guys, we're not going to keep digging on this because I think I've made my point. The simple fact of the matter is that I don't think Jessie Gender's video on this did enough justice because we've found a number of inconsistencies between 3 separate articles. We've looked at the Megan's Law California website to see if any variation of this woman's name show up, and they don't. Which means either there's no conviction, she's previously gotten off of this. And again, if this person's done multiple different forms of indecent exposure or other types of registered sex offender crimes, why wouldn't it be on here? Yeah, also, why would Cubana Angel, a very clearly, like, hyper-Christian conservative, go into a LGBT-friendly spa? Wouldn't you look for one where everyone's godly and has a huge bush? Like, just saying.
Marianne was saying, news orgs have been just reporting whatever their competitors print for a decade. None of them ever fact-check each other. Absolutely true.
Yeah, the fact of the matter is that this is why we always want to verify this. The reality of the fact is, if this woman exists, which I will say, it seems like there's some truth here, none of this adds up. And the fact of the matter is that, while I use Pink News fairly regularly, this is some bullshit if they just copy-pasted it. All of this is hella fucking sus. And you'll notice this article mentions none of her these other supposed crimes. This is from what? This is from the
if your
second?
If your chain of
third?
sources lead to, like, the shittiest article with no sources, it's still not great. Sorry. It's not great.
Yeah, so I'm just going to say this. If you guys find videos on this, or you find people talking about this, there needs to be people questioning. Because it is Occam's razor here. Now, are we going to, again, without any data, are we just going to accept that this person is some horrible pervert that is apparently just doing the thing that all TERFs say trans women are trying to do? Or is it possible that this is a long-standing issue of scapegoating and genuine harassment and discrimination against a trans woman? Based on our data that we're going to talk about in another segment tonight, I have a feeling you'll figure that out. But I honestly wish Jessie Gender would have done better. I wish a lot of people would do better on this. And again, question this narrative. I don't normally say this because it sounds like weird fucking conservative conspiracy theory shit. But it doesn't take a genius to look these things up. We looked up the penal code. Why were these considered felonies? Why was she not on the registry? Why the fuck was there nothing that supports this? Yeah. And Blair White's a monster. Blair White hates every trans person but herself, and she's probably salivating at this the same way she did with Chris Chan, the same way she attacked Janae Kroc. Let me be very clear. Blair, when they officially don't allow you in right-leaning spaces, when you finally start hearing more people than that blonde lady tell you that, you should grow a mustache and that you're, these clearly Nazi people tell you they don't want you in the party, spoiler, I think you're going to burn a lot of bridges with the rest of us. And I hate that idea because as much as I hate the shit that you do, the idea of any trans woman being on the outside really sucks. Yeah, Blair White is literally Cypher from The Matrix. Man, I love this steak. Go back in the machine. Let's kill everybody on the ship. Holy crap.
I do think, like, especially in our community, there's this tendency to be like, no, really, we're not like the bad ones. We're not like, you know, sex offenders. And this, to me, looks like a case where, like, no, it's kind of easy to go overboard with that narrative. With, like, pushing back and telling people, no, we're not perverts, we're not. When in this particular case, there's no evidence or data to give any suggestions of that. So, yeah.
Yeah, she is literally Tiffany Tumbles unironically. But here's the thing, coming back to this, question this narrative, and I think you guys should let other creators know to do better. One of the reasons why I like Jessie Jenner's content is because she does really nuanced takes. I don't agree with her on everything, but I wanted this video to be better. It feels rushed. It feels like an attempt to placate cis moralism. Do not give up ground unless we are presented with real data, real ways to prove that this woman did something wrong, that there is clear evidence for it, and again, innocent until proven guilty. And the idea that there's not systemic prejudice against a trans woman is nonsensical. So please don't harass anyone, including Cubana Angel, as much as she's an absolute cunt. But also, don't bother Jessie. I'm not trying to start a fight with her. I actually really like her stuff, but this really bothered me. Because a lot of people are jumping to trying to do damage control rather than holding their fucking ground. If it turns out I'm wrong and a bunch of stuff in here is right, I'll own it on screen. Zena will own it on screen. We will clearly own that because that is the nature of this channel. But until you present that data, unfalsifiable data, go fuck yourself. Right? Seriously though, that article about the woman at WeSpa, like if that turns out to be bullshit and this really is just harassment, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I really do have to make this clear. This is the reason why trans women like me are afraid to use bathrooms. Like, I literally just have to pee, and the idea that someone could, like, look over the stall or, like, in some way, shape, or form, accidentally see me, and that somehow is a problem? Like, again, there's a couple issues with this. One, it's a woman in the bathroom. Why are you looking? Two, it's a dick. Calm down. Three, what is this sexualization of dicks? Like, I want you to follow me on this weird riff in my head right now. Dicks can be throbbing and turgid and incredibly I was trying to find a more interesting word for hard, but I got what I got. But sometimes, in the case of trans girls, dicks can be cute, adorable even, right? But here's the thing, a dick just in nature is not sexual by its nature. Yeah, sometimes it's just a pee wand. Like, literally, trans men get a thing to allow them to stand up to pee to give them the same functionality as those who have the built-in pee filter. Like, the problem is that we have this weird obsession with dicks in our culture, and the idea is that, like, if you see a dick, it really means something sexual. Like, again, the arguments in that previous thing were like it was erect.
What?
How? Like,
Does that...
So here's the thing. One, even if, let's assume for a moment, I don't even know how they would know that unless it was pretty turgid, right? And if this is a trans woman who's on estrogen, I don't know if that's fully a thing. Like, it still can get hard, but it's a different thing. Again, the mouthfeel. But on top of it, like, I'm sorry, as an owner of one of these things, like, I need to talk to my fellow dick havers, boy, girl, non-binary. I just need to ask things. Does this motherfucker ever just do things without your consent? Right now, I've been watching a TED Talk about dissonance between arousal and personal experience and how this can affect either sexual assault or even just situations. One example the lady gave was one where it's like guy and girl are making out. She really wants to go, you know, fuck. And like he goes, oh, but you're not wet. You're just being nice to me. Instead of it being like, no, bodies don't always one-to-one line up on your experience. Like a body can get wet or can even orgasm even if the person's not into it. This is one of the reasons that can fuck with the heads of people who are sexually assaulted. I know these are not great conversations, but like sometimes dicks just do this. They just fucking get slightly erect.
Can't temperature factors like shift things too?
Temperature factors. Also, if you're again, what if this person was like a lesbian? Like if you're a lesbian and you're literally like, yeah, slightly tight pants can fucking give you an erection. Like underwear to allow you to pass and tuck can cause erection. Like, sorry, I know this is like this is stuff that could be added after the fact, and for all I know, I might just add this in as like a bonus content of like, we need to talk about dicks for a minute, but like, guys, a dick is just a dick unless it's doing something. If this person was drooling over these women and girls, that's a different discussion. If this is just a dick in nature, like a dick with no context, can you guys stop? This is the same thing as women having their breasts out to breastfeed a kid and assholes thinking this is sexual. Like, can people be adults for 5 fucking minutes? Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. You can also ring the bell if you want to be notified of our videos. If you want to help the channel, you can donate at streamlabs.com/transgirltherapist/tip. You also can become a patron at patreon.com/transgirltherapist. As low as $3, you can support our channel. Thanks for watching.